but you will play it differently than anyone else has ever played it. if you were playing both movements, but obviously you were. So that's nice to hear the piece as a whole. With the repeats, we don't always hear the repeats, so it's nice to do that. Nice to have those now and then. The first movement was so good, I have very, very little to say about it. It was all your articulations and your dynamics are exactly what the composer wrote. And you do a very nice job of shaping in between, so the melodies always have nice shape. I'm gonna come over here where you can see me, and can you still hear me? All your little scale-like passages, you practice your scales, don't you? I can always tell. It's so obvious when a student plays a piece with scale passages in it, if they really practice scales or they did it for this piece. And yours sounded very natural. So I was very, very pleased with this one. There were just a couple of little tiny things, and they're tiny. I like the way, by the way, Charles, you end your phrases. A lot of students and adults too sometimes just come to the end of a phrase and da-da-da-da-da, and just breeze right on, you know. Like here, for instance, I want the other teachers to hear that. How about, can you start right there, possibly? It's that place. There you go. And just play down to here. So listen to the way he ends this big phrase. Go ahead, Charles. That was very nice. See, he comes to an end. He doesn't just breeze on to the next, idea. And that's really important in music like this, because we tend to put on the metronome and we think, okay, it's got to go right with the metronome, and it's always good to practice with a metronome, but then when you're close, you have it all memorized, don't you? Yeah, when you're that close, you can bring your metronome down to like once a day, because there's no problem with you getting faster or slower. That's not an issue now. So it's mainly just to, make sure that, to keep you honest, to keep you, so that you know everything is going the way it should. There was one little spot. Oh, I wanted to point this out also. This is a pet peeve of mine, and you didn't do it, so now I have nothing to say. When you come to this top, what's the highest, most important note of that whole phrase, of all of this? Yes, it's that very high A. Most people make this, it has a sforzando. Most people make it the high end of the phrase, then that sort of goes behind it. And you did not do that. I appreciate that. Let's let people hear that. Can you start right here, or which is better, Charles? You pick a spot. Is that good right there? I know this is hard. Once you have a piece memorized, it's hard to then look at the music to start anyway. Yeah, that's it. Try again. See, that high A was perfect, because the highest note of the phrase, and Kuhlau even puts an accent there. That's why that accent is there. This is still a loud note, especially in the left hand, but the most important note is that A. So I really appreciate the way you did that. Very, very nice. There was one little thing. Can you play, how about here, Charles? This is in, or here, this is a better place. This is okay. Try and get. And I'll just let you stop there. That's where I was getting to. And this time, you did it better than the first time. What I was getting to, the first little part of this phrase is piano, and then the next statement is a step up. So I think you could come up a tiny bit in dynamic, and that time you did. That was great. Maybe I wasn't listening carefully the first time, but that was just an idea. And then your contrast between the staccatos and the others are very nice. And again, you might wait just a tiny bit longer before you start that crescendo.
Okay.
You're starting it kind of back in here, which is not horrible, but it just try it where it starts. How about, can you start that D minor chord? Yeah, there you go. Good. And again, you finished this phrase before you started the next, and it was, the piano is even more of a surprise there, because if you just breeze on, we don't always catch that change, and you did it very well. So I think it's a bigger surprise there when you wait a little bit, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really nitpicky. Oh, you could play it exactly like you did the first time and be in great shape on it. But look for those little things now that it's memorized. Look for those little nitpicky things and try it different ways. Don't get stuck on always doing it exactly the same, you know? Because that's what music is all about. It's spontaneous. So if you let your spontaneity kind of control what you're doing, you'll find new ideas. And that's what you want to keep it fresh. You want to keep it fresh. And that's what I think music is all about. Now, I'm going to do this for now, Charles. And you do this one very well. This is the vivace. And you might just consider the two tempos. One is, the first one is allegro, second is vivace, which is faster. Which of those two? Yeah, the vivace is faster. So you might hold back just slightly on the first one, you know. Just a tiny bit, and then you can really move. Okay? So, I always used to, when I taught this, I would always tell my students on these three notes, go to there, go to there. You're kind of backing, again, it's your good musical instinct to back off the end of the phrase. But this time, try going on so that the little crescendo goes clear through the end of this. Try it. Yeah. Good. Excellent. So I think that gives it I don't know, it just feels right to me somehow. So you might consider that. There's a lot of those where they there are three repeated chords. And that's kind of a little way he writes, I guess you'd say. And you do a really good job on those little chromatic scales again. I can tell you practice your scales, that's great. And I like the difference. I'll tell you what I like. When you started piano, it wasn't like down in the basement. It was still, the notes were clear. Then when you went to forte, it has like 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 measures of piano and then 8 measures of forte. When you went to the forte, there was still a very clear change. So I think that's really important. Let's see, there was one other little point I was going to make. Oh, in the middle of this, well, first of all, it's still in the key of what? C major, that's right. And then in the middle, a lot of times a composer will go to what we call the dominant key, which in this case would be G. But what does he go to instead? What has 1 flat? It's just a scale. Pardon? No, not quite. 1 flat, F major, right? So that's a little bit unusual. And I think you could make as big a contrast as you can even imagine between this section and what's come before and after it, okay? Whoops. So that F major part, I would make even maybe a hair slower. So it's very musical. So it's very, what would you say, spontaneous, and it really has a nice musical sound. Try going from, how about here, Charles? Is that horrible? This next part, should that go back to the original tempo, or you played this a hair slower, and I liked it. I don't think any judge would argue with you on that because it fits the music, you know. So what would you do here? Would you go back to the faster tempo, or would you kind of gradually go back? There's no right answer.
I would just go back, straight back.
Go straight back. Okay, let's try that. Let's try from, how about, can you play the second part of that? Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, that's perfect. It's okay, go ahead. It doesn't matter. Counting this out, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. Most people put that somewhere in there, but not necessarily where it's written. So that, I like that. That's kind of sudden change, just for the sake of trying it. Let's try going back just a little more gradually. And then when you're there, you can be back in the tempo. Let's just try it. Do that spot again. Yeah, now that works too. I would say if you took a poll of this audience, some would vote for one and some would vote for the other. There's no right and wrong answer. So you think about that. If you decide, Now, you and your teacher might decide, no, we're gonna keep that in the tempo, but just make it more musical. That's fine too. Like I said, there's no right or wrong to these things, it's just choices. Now I'd like you to do one more thing, and that's the little coda, I would call this. So start where the forte is, and then make as big a change as you can there. You did very well, but I felt like it was a little bit rushed or hesitant or whatever, I don't know. Try it again, Charles. Good, excellent. That flowed a little smoother that time. The first, it could be early memory, who knows, but I think it fell into place a little easier that time. And that's a case where I don't think you want to change the tempo for just that 2 measures at 1.5. I would just keep it all the same, but that was very nice when you went to the piano. And that's kind of melodic. This is more rhythmic. And that's melodic, then rhythmic, and then melodic. So if you think of it that way, it's like a dance, and then a song, and a dance, and a song. It'll help. And then these were very good. I would keep these right in tempo. And if you want to take a little time there, you can. Try just that ending one more time, Charles. Yeah, that was great. There was a little more change, a little more surprise to the piano part, because if you had never heard that piece, that would be a big surprise to you, and you do that very, very well. So, how are we doing on time, Sylvia?
It's about 1:45. You're fine.
Oh, okay, so go on. Can you play the whole thing again? Let's do it. This is a chance to operate on a new piano. On a piano you haven't played. You haven't played this much, have you? This piano? Or no? Yeah, well, it's good. You get a little chance. Everyone has to adjust when they go to a new piano. Even adults who've played hundreds of different instruments, we still have to adjust. And every piano has its unique sound, and so it's always nice to know what you have to do to adjust. And you did a very good job. All right, go for it, Charles. Let's hear one more performance.
Take it back. Take it back. Take it back. And bow.
Thank you so much for playing today.